What's up, guys? It's me, the AOL Double X Prince, and I am here back with Double X Mania 2. Yes, I was actually gonna start this right after the Elimination Chamber, but I decided to start it off, and then that gives you guys more ideas of what stuff I should do regarding WrestleManias. I've been thinking of some top 10s, some more rebookings. I don't know what else you guys want me to do for WrestleMania weekend, and what shows to review, what stuff to talk about. But I'm gonna review 5 different WrestleManias, retro review 5 different WrestleManias that stood out to me, and talk about it with you guys. And because apparently my class got canceled, I have plenty of time, so I ended up watching WrestleMania 10. 10 years in the making from what it's been called. WrestleMania 10, I chose this one because in one hand you have 2 of the best matches of all time, an awesome WrestleMania moment, and then some stuff that was meh. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some stuff that it was just like debatably, like, really, this was on WrestleMania? Like, really, this didn't feel like WrestleMania. I mean, you had your legends, you had your stars, but some of the matches were just like little squash matches, and that's a trend that happened in the early WrestleManias. They had a bunch of squash matches and a bunch of filler. Eventually, they grew out of it and then made sure every match in the show counted. So I'm glad that they decided to go that route down the road. But this was one of the last few WrestleManias to do so, and it's kind of crazy because you have, like I said, 2 of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, and some of the greatest matches of all time, even in this show, 2, and then the rest was mediocre as fuck. And let's start off with the opener. Easily the greatest opener of all time, Bret Hart and Owen Hart. So basically, the story here: Owen Hart has been tired of Bret Hart being at the top. He keeps, he's the real underdog, not Bret. Owen Hart deserved more, and at the time, we didn't see Owen Hart do that much as an individual wrestler, but lo and behold, he was amazing. I mean, we knew he was great, but we didn't know he was like a main event star great. Owen Hart and Bret Hart had great chemistry. First of all, the story was there. We had the story there with Bret Hart and Owen Hart. I mean, just feuding it out. Basically, 2 brothers that got tired of each other. Well, Owen Hart just got tired of Bret Hart being at the top for as long as he has. So now Bret Hart, he wants to prove him wrong, and they have a match, and it's just great. You can't tell a better story than this. It was just one of the best matches of all time. And Owen Hart rolls up Bret Hart and beats him. Yes, Owen Hart beats him, and I think this is the one time where one of the few times where they realized that they needed new talent. I mean, at the time, I don't know what WCW was doing in 1994, but little afterwards, WCW ends up becoming the WCW that we all knew and loved with the NWO, Goldberg and Sting and those guys. So they were slowly trying to push little guys and other talents because they were losing a lot of people, and it shows. But this match was incredible. Right way to go with Owen Hart, and the greatest part about this is that the feud continued on, and as it went on, like as the year went on, this feud continued, and it was just a great, phenomenal match. Personally, it's my match of the night. People will argue that the other match that I'm gonna talk about is the match of the night, but for me, this was my match of the night because it just told an amazing story. Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon defeated Dink and Doink. Bam Bam Bigelow just like squashes these 2 fuckers. I mean, it's a mixed tag team match, but it was just like a really weird match, and I kind of didn't care about it. But then we had Macho Man Randy Savage versus Crush in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, Macho Man in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Who's Crush? Crush was an average wrestler, but for the most part, this match was actually kind of good. I actually enjoyed it. The problem with this is that it was a weird false count anywhere match. So you pin the guy, and then you have to hurry up and get in the ring. Otherwise, it doesn't count or something. It was just like really weird paced, and it just didn't work out for me. And I don't know. It was still a good match. It still had some great wrestling. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Granted, he leaves a little bit after this. He goes to WCW eventually. So, I feel bad for WWF. I mean, I kind of don't, just for the fact that WWF was just really doing some dumb shit as years went on. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? It was his choice to leave. So, I mean, what more can you do? Next up, we had Alundra Blaze defeating Liana Kai for the women's championship. This was just like a really dull ass match. Alundra Blaze was like over as shit for her personality and charisma, and she was great. She is one of my favorite women wrestlers of all time, and it just kind of sucks that she didn't do much in the WWF. However, in WCW, when she threw that women's championship out of the way, whoo, WWF was mad as a motherfucker too. But I mean, I can't blame him. But yeah, Alundra Blaze was over, and then the problem with the women's division at the time, we really didn't have anybody. I mean, people complain about the Divas division being bad, but at least that one had star power. You could say what you want about Kelly and what other bitches there are, Maurice and stuff like that. However, they were over with some of the audience. So, I mean, other than Alundra Blaze, you really had no one. Bull Namako or some shit like that. But, anyways, it was just a dull little squash match. I didn't really care. Men on Mission defeated the Quebecers by countout for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The Quebecers only had one really good match with the Owen and Bret Hart, which eventually led to the feud that opened up the show. But aside from that, we didn't really. I mean, this was an okay match. I thought it was alright. I don't know. Like, again, we lacked star power and stuff. But another thing that really did tick me off about the early WrestleMania is that matches would always end on DQ or countout. And that was just like a big problem with me. And that also leads to the next match, Yokozuna versus Lex Luger for the WWF Championship. For those young fans out there, you guys might know, Lex Luger and Bret Hart became the first ever co-WWF Royal Rumble winners. So, as they were trying to decide who goes to WrestleMania, they just decided, what if Lex Luger fights Yokozuna first, and then Bret Hart fights Yokozuna later. Basically, Yokozuna was like the biggest heel. They're basically trying to make another Andre the Giant, but not as great. I don't know. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of Yokozuna. I never was. This guy was just sloppy in the ring. He couldn't even move that much. But yeah, Lex Luger. Now, Lex Luger, from what I hear, he poisoned Ms. Elizabeth, which is the reason why she died. There's a theory going on about that. If it's true, fuck this guy, obviously. But yeah, Lex Luger was never a WWF guy. When he was in WCW, he was on top, greatest United States champion of all time. But yeah, I don't know, Lex Luger just didn't fit. They tried to make him the next Hulk Hogan, but this is the beginning of when WWF tried so hard to push people to your face, and this is one of the few that didn't work. They tried in earlier years with Ryback, which failed. Who else? Test. While I like Test, I don't know, for some reason he just didn't connect with the crowd, or not connect with the crowd, but connect with something. I mean, they tried hard with Test, but anyways, that's besides the point. Lex Luger just didn't fit the WWF standard. I don't know. He just didn't fit in WWF. In WCW, he was amazing, but I don't know. He just didn't fit here. And I mean, I mean, he was fighting Yokozuna, so it was impossible to get a good match anyway. So, what do you expect? Just a sloppy build. Some Lex Luger trying to power slam him. It was just bad. Earthquake defeated Atom Bomb. I actually went to go get a drink and I forgot to pause it, and sure enough, oops. But now we get to some good. Finally, yes, we have some good in this show. If you didn't think Owen Hart and Bret Hart was the match of the night, maybe this was. For me, Owen and Bret just stood out just a little bit more than this match because of the story that I enjoyed. But however, this was a classic at its finest. The game changer, you might add. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Intercontinental Championship ladder match. That's just insane. And at the time, they didn't really use that much ladders. They only stuck to one ladder. And they basically just had a regular wrestling match. And what I like about matches like this, I mean, people forget about ladder matches, but the whole point of ladder matches is to try to get to the freaking belt first, or the briefcase if you're in Money in the Bank. The problem here is that you have basically people like they have a match and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get a ladder, pick it up and throw it in. The whole point that they were trying to do was trying to get to that IC belt first. Now the story here was that Shawn was out and Razor Ramon ended up becoming the champion, but Shawn Michaels comes back with the real IC belt and they basically feud over who is the true Intercontinental Champion. But it was just great storytelling, just great back and forth, and this made Shawn Michaels the star that he is today. I truly believe this match helped Shawn Michaels more than hurt him, even though he lost. Because Shawn Michaels did that spot where he jumps on Razor, and it was just a mark out moment. You know, at the time they didn't win that much mark out moments, and it was great how it ended too. Like with Shawn Michaels getting tied to the ropes, he's trying so hard to reach that belt, and Razor beat him. Now, a lot of people don't like this match. I can see why. There were a couple of botches. I can see, I remember this part where Razor was trying to reach for Shawn Michaels' leg or something, and then he pulls his tights and freaking Shawn Michaels' ass is showing. So I can see why some people didn't like it, and maybe some people just are used to multiple ladders all over the ring and stuff. But for the story it was trying to be, because this is the second ladder match of all time. The first one was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels at a house show, which, by the way, Vince never watched the match. He said he didn't care. He avoided Bret Hart to talk about it. Fuck Vince in the 90s. Vince was a piece of shit in the 90s, which eventually led to his persona, of course, but I'll get to that in a different video. But now let's talk about the main event. Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. Now the following year, Yokozuna won the Royal Rumble match, beats Bret Hart, and then loses it to Hulk Hogan a couple of seconds after, which is stupid, of course. Now we get the rightful match. I mean, Bret Hart tried his best to get a good match out of Yokozuna. Like I said, you can't do it. However, the moment saved it. Rowdy Roddy Piper as special guest referee was brilliant because, may I remind you, WrestleMania 8, they had an amazing Intercontinental Championship match. Honestly, one of the most underrated matches of all time. That story, plus with Yokozuna as this unbeatable champion, other than Hogan, for fuck's sakes, that worked. And then Bret Hart finally gets the victory. And this definitely brought in the new generation era, for the good or for the bad. The new generation era is bad at some points, but this definitely proved that there was time for new stars to come up and become names, because when they had Bret Hart up there celebrating with Lex Luger, the other guy fighting freaking Yokozuna that night. You had trying to remember some other names. Razor Ramon was up there. They're all holding Bret Hart up. Finally, a WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan stealing the spotlight from all the talent. This was brilliant. This was awesome. And then what I like when it did this. It had a cliffhanger. It had Bret Hart standing tall, and then Owen Hart just looking at the side like, yeah, we're not done. So, thanks to that, it made Bret Hart the star that he is today. Plus, continuing the feud with Owen and Bret Hart. So that was awesome. I loved the match. I mean, not the match. I loved this show for that moment. There was a lot of shit that I didn't like about this show, though. Like, there was a lot of this filler bullshit. However, that moment of Bret Hart standing tall and the two spectacular matches, yeah, that saved the show. I mean, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Um, like a B minus. I almost want to give it a B just because those two matches were as good as they were. Honestly, WrestleMania 10, what I recommend for you to do is check out Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart and Owen Hart, and you're good to go. Because those two are clinics in the makings. Those are just two of the best matches. Now the next WrestleMania I'm choosing, I won't spoil which one it is. However, I will say that the next WrestleMania I'll talk about is remembered for one match, and it's to this day one of the more controversial matches out there. And I'll get to it when I talk about it. Until then, subscribe to this channel. I'm the Double X Prince. I'm out.